In today's session, I'm actually going to demonstrate the different document capture methods. Now, that might seem a little mundane, but listen, think about how you're getting the documents today. You're getting them in paper, I would assume. You're probably getting them via email. You're probably getting them maybe even fax, but you don't want to print those faxes out, so they're going to a folder out on the network drive. Maybe you're creating those documents in Word or Excel. Well, PaperSave has a strategy around all of the different medias that you're receiving your documents in. So we're going to go through how you can capture the paper and those electronic documents, because one of the things that PaperSave wants to be certain of is that if the document is already electronic, you keep it that way. So I'm going to head on over to PaperSave here, and I knew that this was going to happen. I waited too long, so we're going to have to put in a password here, but this should just take a minute. So we're going to start capturing some documents. All right. Now I'm going to show you various ways to get documents in, whether they're going to be associated directly to a transaction in GP, or maybe they're going to be deposited into a workflow for approval, which will then build on next week and show you how that works in the workflow process. But there are a lot of different ways. Right from within inside of a transaction within GP, I can add documents. One of the things that, because we're going to focus mainly on the purchasing side today, I do want to pop up a list really quickly here. This list that you're looking at are the modules and the transactions that PaperSave integrates with inside of GP. Now, keep in mind, we're focusing on just the purchasing side, but PaperSave has integration to bank reconciliations, the journal entries, fixed assets. If you happen to use the HR or inventory or payroll, but there's the purchasing, also the sales side, any of the areas of GP that you might be using, everything that I'm going to show you today, you can utilize PaperSave for, even though I might only be focusing on one specific type of transaction. But let's say that we have a document that we need to get related to a vendor document or a vendor card. Well, PaperSave, right from here, if it's paper, I can navigate right to a vendor record, and we'll just go ahead and open up Center Electric here, right? Now, one of the things I want you to see, if you saw this bubble pop up, that's just PaperSave letting you know that there are documents related to this. But if I wanted to add another document, a change of address, terms and conditions, a contract, all I have to do is come up to additional and I can say add document. And from here, PaperSave opens up and it's going to give me a screen to add a document right here. And from here, then I can choose the different ways that I want to add the document. So if it's paper and you have a scanner hooked up to your workstation, you can just drop that document right into your scanner and scan it, right? If you don't have a scanner and you're going to leverage those multi-function units, great, you can do that as well right from here. And it'll print out a barcode that contains this information. PaperSave also allows you to bring in an electronic document, right? So I can navigate out to my network drive, wherever it might be, and I can bring in, let's just say, we'll bring in a W-9. Now, I do want to make mention that I am working from the United States, so you might see date formats in the United States format, which is month, day, year, but PaperSave has worked very closely with Professional Advantage, and we have made the configurations to our system so our date matches your format, which is day, month, year. In fact, we also have GST, so we can talk more about that as well. But these fields over here are user defined. So if I wanted to say this was a W-4, great. I can drop it in, and now that document is associated with this vendor. I also can be manually creating a payables transaction. So I'm just going to quickly create a payables transaction. We'll put it into a quick batch here. And I can add a document. And I'm looking at a piece of paper sitting on my desk. Maybe somebody walked up to you and said, and I'm making up this number here, they said, hey, this needs to be paid right away. And they got the proper manual approval on it. and you still need to get it into the system, right? So you can manually create the transaction, put in the GL distribution. I'm lazy, so I use a lot of defaults. And as soon as I hit save, again, PaperSave says, do you want to add a document to this record? And I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to actually use my scanner and drop my piece of paper in the scanner and choose scan now. And I can fill in these profile fields. Maybe I have a date here, and I can put notes and comments, right? And I hit save, and that document now is saved. I didn't have to index it. I didn't have to do anything like that. That document now is associated to that payables transaction. So those are some ways of scanning a document and getting it into the system. But PaperSave is also fully integrated with Microsoft products as well as Outlook. So if I get an email from a vendor that has said, here's my invoice that needs to be paid, right? This is Best Buy. Right along the toolbar, I can add this document to a workflow because it's an invoice. Maybe I need to put it into a workflow. So right from here, I can say attach document. Now, PaperSave remembers where I've been most recently, and I'm going to put this into what I call my workflow, electronic documents workflow. And now this invoice that was emailed to me is securely stored in PaperSave in a workflow process, ready to be approved, ready to be routed, coded, and sent off into GP, which again, we're going to cover all of that next week. One of the other added advantages of having PaperSave plugin for adding documents is think about all of those important communications that you get from vendors or customers or whomever saying, yes, you can take a discount because the shipment was late or whatever it might be. Well, if they email that to you, unless you are printing it out and stapling it or filing it with the invoice or storing it on your drive someplace to find it later, you're the only one that can see it. But PaperSave gives you the ability to say, okay, well, this is a Best Buy. I'm going to go ahead and add it to a record. Well, PaperSave remembers where I've been, and I'm going to go into my GP purchasing payables transactions. Now, what you're going to see is a big long list of all of the payables transactions that PaperSave has pulled from GP. This is our tight integration, right? So you're actually going to see all of the payables transactions that that you have in the system. Listen, I can narrow this down. I'm going to say contains best because I want to find Best Buy. Now I've narrowed it down to 52, and maybe I'm looking for the invoice number, the dollar amount, or whatever it might be. And so let's scroll down a little bit here and let's pick on, we'll pick on this one that says dealer 222, and we'll look at this one later. But now I'm taking this email that's only sitting in my inbox, right, that only I can see. I've now brought it into PaperSave. I get the header, I even get the attachment, and I get the body. And then what is this? This is an invoice, and it's my discount invoice or email, excuse me, email, right? So now I'm going to save it. That email that's sitting in my inbox, what would I do with it? I delete it because I don't need it. It's securely stored inside of PaperSave, right? So that's one way of getting, another way of getting to getting those documents in. But remember, I also mentioned that we are fully integrated with the Office products. So Excel, Word, Publisher, PowerPoint. Think about all of those spreadsheets that you create that support your journal entries, right? Well, again, PaperSave allows you right along this toolbar to navigate out. Again, I'm going to go into more. PaperSave remembers where I've been. I haven't been into journal entries lately. So now I'm going to get that same long list, right, of all of the journal entries that I have. But instead of filtering off of the full list, right, maybe I only want to look for journal entry that contains the, 3 5s in it or something like that. So now PaperSave narrows that down, right? Here's the existing journal entry inside of GP. I double click on that, and again, it brings in the whole Excel spreadsheet in an Excel format. And I get to now, again, what I get to do is I get to identify what it is and maybe the date, and we'll just say sample here. All right. Now, one of the things that I want you to notice is that in this spreadsheet, there is a hyperlink back to documents, and it's going to store that document in the format of Excel with that hyperlink. So if you think about any accrual journal entry that you have to do for maybe invoices that haven't been approved in a PaperSave workflow, we'll talk about this as well in the next webcast. But those are some of the capture methods of PaperSave. I didn't go into the drag and drop, but I can drag and drop it. We have what's called PaperSave Printer. PaperSave Printer allows you to print, let's say, your checks or your purchase orders or your bill of ladings into a PaperSave printer that then will automatically associate them to the transactions inside of GP.